You know, as nearly as I can remember from way back in the dim, distant past, when I went to summer camp, the high points were playing volleyball, swimming all the way across the lake, and complaining about the bug juice. But the teenagers in a new movie called Little Darlings have a lot more to write home about. Little Darling stars Tatum O'Neal and Christy McNichol as two 15-year-old girls who first of all declare themselves to be arch enemies, and then they make a big bet to see which one will lose her virginity first. But when they're not flirting with boys, they take the time to engage in more traditional summer camp activities, like a food fight.
Oh, so sorry. I just have to get a napkin right over here. Oh, gosh. How awful. Here, let me clean it off.
That's
Sorry.
okay, really.
Oh.
It was an accident. It was an accident.
Here, sorry.
Look.
That is really funny.
Yes. Come on. You guys. That really puts me off.
Next comes the main event, seeing which girl can be the first to seduce a boy. Here's Christy McNichol giving it a try.
What's your name, anyway?
Me?
Yeah, you. I know my name.
Yeah, what is it?
Angel. But don't let the name fool you.
It's 4
You're drunk.
You're cute.
Still haven't told me your name yet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's Randy. Don't let the name fool you.
Little Darlings is a hard movie to review. It's not especially well made. It's awkward. It's too talky. I really can't recommend it. But it is a fairly sensitive consideration of the very delicate business of teenage sex. It has some moments of truth. It has some thoughtfulness. And silly and dumb as it is, a lot of the time, at least Little Darlings isn't as much of a cynical exploitation picture as that ad campaign would have you believe.
Yes, it's not wholly bad, but again, I think what we have here is a sense of disappointment because we know this picture could have been a lot better. Two very good young actresses talking about a very interesting subject, but they don't talk enough. I mean, the subject is fascinating. Teenagers being stampeded into sex because peer pressure, and they think what they're supposed to do. Well, let's have these actresses talk about it instead. Instead of that, they give us food fights, people putting frogs in people's things, throwing things around, a silly meatballs kind of summer camp comedy. This could have been so much more. Instead, they tried to make two different movies and hedge their bets.
I think you're right. You know, there's a funny thing about this film, though. The very scenes that could have gone wrong the most easily, involving Christy McNichol and then Tatum O'Neal and their boyfriends, and whether or not they're going to go through with it or not, those scenes could have been handled very badly. They're handled fairly well.
You're right, you're right.
It's in the scenes that we think are going to be easy that the film collapses into kind of an Animal House summer camp sort of film, as you put it.
It shouldn't have been there. We wanted it to be a lot stronger, and it's a shame.
You know, there's one thing we ought to mention. This movie is rated R, which means that the kids who are the age of the people in the movie can't go to see it. And I'm trying to figure out why that would be. It's not because really of nudity or language or violence.
There's that one other thing called mature theme, which is, I suppose, what's going on here. Frankly, if I had to rate it, I'd say it's PG because it isn't any rougher than a lot of PG pictures we see.
I give it a PG too, and actually I suspect a lot of kids under 17 will probably get in to see this one way or
theater
another.
owners really have sort of an open door policy on R-rated stuff. It's not really legally enforceable. Anyway, as for Little Darlings, we both think it was trivial and shallow. Instead of seriously dealing with teenage sex, we get food fights. 2 no's for Little Darlings.